In my last video, I talked about some players that I actually believe are in some pretty bad/weird situations. By the way, a few of y'all did point out the positives in Pascal Siakam's situation, and the points were valid, but it's still weird because it's like he's trying to force himself onto a team that he's literally already on. But now in this video, let's talk about some players that I believe are in some pretty ideal situations. Let's start with LeBron. It was funny as hell, at least to me, to hear LeBron at the ESPYs act as if he was breaking some type of major news, letting us all know that he was coming back. Nobody believed that he was leaving. Literally nobody believed that. He's still playing at an extremely high level, especially given his age. His son just committed to USC across the street from the Lakers. He has at least $110 million left on the table, and he's playing in his dream city, LA. Why would he leave? Nobody, like I said, bro, nobody believed that. But nevertheless, LeBron going into year 21 is actually in a very ideal situation if you ask me, especially given the previous two off seasons and what that roster looked like. 2 years ago, with LeBron going into year 19, winning a championship like 10 months prior, the Lakers impulsively, disgustingly traded their depth for Russell Westbrook, and needless to say, it was a disaster like most people expected. After massively underachieving, going into last offseason, the Lakers were stuck with this massive $47 million contract that they had to literally attach future assets to move, and that ultimately resulted in Russ starting year 20 with LeBron. Again, disgusting. The only moves they could make with those three major contracts was stuff like Patrick Beverley and Lonnie Walker and changing the coach. And again, it looked like another wasted season for LeBron. This summer, fresh off that surprising conference finals appearance that was a lot closer than the sweep would indicate, I believe the Lakers won the offseason. They retained breakout Austin Reeves on a very team-friendly contract, especially given what he could have been offered by other teams, which could have made it very sticky. They retained Rui Hachimura, who gave them so much versatility, especially in the playoffs on both sides. They stole Gabe Vincent from Miami, who I believe is like the perfect combo guard beside LeBron and AD, especially with the unreliability of D'Angelo Russell. And for what it's worth, they retained D'Lo on a pretty reasonable contract. Yeah, he's up and down, and the highs are highs and the lows are low, but the talent is there, and he did give them some pretty pivotal moments. He just was terrible in that conference finals. Even the many moves like Jackson Hayes and Cam Reddish are low-risk, high-reward moves that patents their depth, which is exactly what LeBron and AD needs at this stage of their careers. Before LeBron got hurt last year against Dallas, he had a 17-game stretch where he averaged like 34, but the problem was how high those minutes were, which I believe ultimately hurt him. The depth retained and added is exactly what I believe he and AD needs for a realistic shot at a second championship together. So bravo to the Lakers. Jimmy Butler has clearly taken the Miami Heat as far as he possibly can on that type of team. Did he have the greatest NBA finals? No, but it's hard for me to criticize him or call him a fraud like I've seen when his team had no business being there in the first place. I'll reemphasize this point again. The player with the most playoff wins since he joined the Heat 4 years ago is number 1 PJ Tucker, who had a run with the Miami Heat and won an NBA championship, and Jimmy Butler and Bam too. For a player that doesn't even have a championship yet, that's a lot of postseason wins in a 4-year span. Now, even though the Miami Heat, they haven't really done much yet this offseason, it looks like they're about to get a mega superstar, which is exactly what they need to really get over that next hump. If Miami's able to land Dame, which I believe they will, I believe that deal is imminent. I don't know if Portland is going to get a better deal than the one Miami has centered around Tyler Hero, especially with Dame making it clear he only wants to play for Miami. When this deal gets done, that'll allow Jimmy Butler to coast offensively and truly assert himself when need be, especially beside a ridiculous scorer like Dame, and it will unlock the true potential of Bam Adebayo as a playmaker. Jimmy Butler is going on 34 years old, and even with the success they've had since he's been in Miami, he's played on mid-overachieving rosters. It's time that he has a real shot at a championship, and I mean being the favorite, not being the Cinderella story, not being the overachievers that surprisingly made it there. I mean, he has a real shot, and Dame does that, so I can't wait till this deal gets done. SGA feels like the player that took the most significant leap all of last year, and with that, OKC seems like the team with the most clear, bright future for the 2020s. When you really look at it, the potential of this team is insane. They already have an emerging star with Shai. So it's not like they're banking on a top pick that can possibly be a star. They literally already have one. They have a top 3 pick with Chet Holmgren, who, if anything, is going to significantly help their defense. Last year, they were smack in the middle defensively, and I believe he's going to seamlessly become one of the best rim protectors in the league. And he has so much potential offensively. With his versatility and him being able to stretch the floor at that size, and his 7-foot frame being, if anything, a lob threat, he's going to make Josh Giddey and Shai much better playmakers than they already are. Last year, Josh Giddey, for the last 20 games of the year, quietly damn near averaged a 18-point triple-double at 20 years old. One of my favorite rookies last year, Jalen Williams, he's efficient, he's versatile, he's great defensively, and he's just a great addition for that type of culture. Not even mentioning Lu Dort, who's arguably the best on-ball defender in the league. And this team has 35 draft picks over the next 7 years, in which 15 of them are first rounders. That's 2 first-round picks over the next 7 years. That's crazy. I do think first-round picks can be a little overrated, but if anything, they're assets. So if Sam Presti ultimately decides to speed up their rebuild and get a proven star, they literally have everything you need to get him. Like I said, SGA at 24 years old, surrounded by a plethora of young talent, a plethora of young picks, and proven great management, he's in a great situation. I'm so happy for Russell Westbrook, and he's in a great situation to me because he found what looks to be somewhat of a home. He's still in LA, where he's played his previous 2 years, where he's from, with his boy Paul George and Kawhi, who's also from LA. He's on a much smaller, much more reasonable contract now, so the added contractual pressure and all that is gone. And he's on the Clippers, where the expectations are relatively low. Say what you want about Russ and his time with LeBron and AD with the Lakers, where we knew he never should have been. He played great when he got to the Clippers, especially in the playoffs. Literally, because of injuries, he was the most reliable one between him, Kawhi, and Paul George. Ty Lue started him and never took him out even when he struggled. His teammates completely supported him, and most importantly, it felt like he was wanted. So I'm happy for Russ because he really found a home. Kevin Durant is in what looks to be yet another great situation. First of all, he's starting the year with where he ultimately wanted to be going back to last year, the Phoenix Suns. Second of all, they didn't lose much but an aging Chris Paul, and they replaced him with Bradley Beal. And lastly, and surprisingly, they had a pretty great offseason, especially given what they had to work with. Obviously, and the big one, they got Bradley Beal while still keeping DeAndre Ayton. And also, they filled out the rest of that roster way better than expected. Eric Gordon is a very solid, proven vet pickup, especially on a vet minimum contract. Keita Bates-Diop from San Antonio is like the perfect complementary piece they need that gives them size, length, defense, and he's going to have every open look known to man. They retained Damian Lee, who's a champion. He gives them a bit of grit. He shot 44% from deep last year. Imagine what he can shoot in this offense. They got Watanabe, who has size, he can shoot, and he had great stretches next to Kevin Durant. And I even like them getting Bobo, who's not the most consistent, but his ceiling is high, and we've seen flashes, so that won't hurt. I still question this team's health, especially and mainly with the big three, but the talent at the top is obviously glaring, and the depth below that is pretty great, especially given, again, what they had to work with after trading for Bradley Beal. Kevin Durant, I mean, at least on paper, again, he's in another prime position to win a championship. And lastly and quickly, I'll add Luka Doncic. I don't think Luka is necessarily in a situation where he can win a championship. I just don't. But given what could have happened this offseason and ultimately what did, they came out pretty solid. I still feel like they need to patch that hole on the glass because that was a glaring problem last year. But getting off of Davis Bertans' terrible contract in the draft was great. Re-signing Kyrie, obviously it comes with its uncertainties, but you couldn't really lose him because you really had no leverage. Getting Grant Williams, that was a great trade. You get the wing defense you need while still being able to play him offensively because he can stretch the floor and he will fit perfectly with that offense. So that was great. Rashawn Holmes, he can possibly help out on the glass and defensively where they need that. And Seth Curry, I wasn't crazy about the addition because I don't know how much he's needed, but he's familiar with Luka and Kyrie, so it won't hurt. Again, I don't think that's a championship team. Like, I just don't. But it could have been a lot worse, and they came out pretty solid. So I just added Luka on this list. If you guys like this video, make sure you like this video. If you made it this far, Comment the team you think won the offseason and the team you think lost the offseason. Follow my social media sites for all my updates. Turn on post notifications. Do all that great stuff, guys. And until next time, as always, stay tuned.